Teachers seem like they live a boring life sometimes. They're in their classrooms all day and then they go home and grade papers during the rest. Well, this simply isn't true. And the teachers you're about to meet have proven that they are living a life that is much more interesting than ours. Here are 10 school teachers you won't believe actually exist. While assignments are just a fact of academic life, we deal with them all the time. So here's an easy one for you. Subscribe to The Richest by clicking on that red subscribe button before the video is over. If you've already done that, then well done! For some extra credit, click on the gray bell to turn on those notifications. Let's get started. Ayumi Fukushima. When you look at Ayumi Fukushima, you might not think much of her. It's not a bad thing, it's just you wouldn't be able to tell a lot about her upon first glance. In fact, you could even say that she seems a bit boring. There's no doubt that this kindergarten teacher has her shy moments, but there's another life that she kept under wraps until now. When Fukushima isn't in the classroom, she's on the dance floor as a professional break dancer, and she's pretty talented at it. Otherwise known as a B-girl, Fukushima is rising to fame in the breakdancing world, and she's even giving the men a run for their money. She credits breakdancing for helping her overcome her shyness, and had she not become a dancer, she would have never become a teacher. You could say her two worlds help each other out. Fukushima will not only be a dance coach for the 2018 Youth Olympics, but she is also the first female to be invited to participate in the international 1 vs. 1 battle at Battle of the Year. It all goes to show you that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and people definitely have multiple layers to them. Sam Pierce. Sam Pierce is an 8th grade English teacher at a Bushwick Middle School in New York City. The 24-year-old had teaching in his sights after graduating from Brown University. After getting a job in New York, he was discovered by another male model while riding the F train. Soon after, Pierce signed on to the Red NYC agency under the name of Sam Worthen. If you think he's tossing the school books for a model's luxurious life, think again. Pierce has said that he won't take a job if it compromises his students' learning. That means he's mainly doing shows on the weekends and during holidays. He would rather miss a modeling gig instead of school. Red NYC is okay with that, and his limited availability makes Pierce more in demand. With the extra income he's making, Pierce buys more books and other supplies for his students. Given that some of the biggest brands are loving his European look, it's safe to say that Pierce, or shall we say Worthen, has some job security. His school administration is also okay with him being a model as long as he isn't doing anything compromising or doing additional work for the city. I guess you could say that Pierce is a model teacher. Mindy Jensen. Mindy Jensen is a teacher at North San Pete Middle School who recently got into some trouble because of her Instagram account. You see, when Jensen isn't in the classroom, she's hitting the gym as a competitive bodybuilder. After her divorce, Jensen said that she fell into a deep depression, so she got into training in bodybuilding to help herself get out of that funk. Working out turned out to be a saving grace for her, so she got on Instagram to share her progress as well as photos from her competitions. However, despite having a different username so she couldn't be found easily, one of her students found the Instagram account and showed it to their parents. As the rumor mill goes, one parent showed another, and then that turned into several. Jensen was then accused of posting photos that were too graphic and adult, which led her to a disciplinary hearing with school officials. She was told to either make her Instagram private, take the photos down, or lose her job. Luckily, Jensen fought back and didn't relent. The school eventually allowed her to keep the photos up, and she didn't lose her job. Benedikt Garrett. Speaking of teachers nearly losing their job because of their side hustle, let's introduce Benedikt Garrett. Once you learn what he moonlighted as, you'll find a lot of irony in his first name. His professional name is Johnny Anglis, and if you recognize that name, then we know what you're into. Garrett was a teacher at Beale High School in Ilford in the United Kingdom, where he was the head of personal, social, and health education. He held this position from 2008 until 2010. Then some of his students discovered him in a trailer for an adult movie. That just opened a can of worms that made everyone blush. So Garrett was stripped of his teaching position until an investigation could be done. He was found guilty of unacceptable professional conduct, but he was allowed to go back to teaching if he gave up his other job. Well, instead of becoming a teacher again, Garrett pretty much gave the administration the middle finger and decided to become a full-time adult entertainer, working on stage and in front of the camera. While Garrett was embarrassed that some of his students saw his films, he said it was nothing to be ashamed of, and it's a natural part of life. It's kind of like a real-life Magic Mike story. Debra Kowal. Debra Kowal is a psychology professor at the American International College. Not only does Kowal study the human mind, but also the human spirit. That's not meant to be metaphorical. She is literally studying things that go bump in the night, meaning she is a ghost hunter. Her students likely don't even realize who their teacher is. Kowal is a member of the Berkshire Paranormal Group, and she is constantly studying paranormal phenomenon and looking for proof that ghosts exist. Even though she's a believer, she is also quite the skeptic as well and won't believe everything that comes around. Kowal also believes that more people believe in ghosts than are willing to to admit. It's rather ironic that she teaches psychology and ghost hunts, but Kowal believes that we all have energy and it must go someplace after we pass. Of course, we all eventually find out what happens when we go, but she wants to find out early. Her paranormal group does ghost hunts at their headquarters, the Houghton Mansion, and Kowal has also investigated AIC. Since the school is over 125 years old, well, why not? You've made it to the break. While you take a break, let's give you a pop quiz. Don't worry, unlike your quizzes at school, you're allowed to cheat. We'll also give you the answer at the end of the video. Nushafar Naravagi was a teacher who was taken into custody after helping 3 dangerous inmates escape from a maximum security prison. What kind of teacher was she? Jessica Vanessa. Jessica Vanessa is a former teacher's assistant who worked in a kindergarten class in Florida. She has some really interesting assets. Okay, yeah, that was a pun. Here's another one. She's making a buttload of money twerking her, well, you get it. When Vine was a thing, she was posting 6-second videos of herself twerking away, and she apparently was making a lot more money from that than being a teaching assistant. Needless to say, Vanessa quit her teaching gig and became a full-time twerker, making 6 figures a year. Hey, gotta make money somehow, right? Even if you think that her career change is a bit unorthodox, she is still driving a better car than the rest of us, and her student loans are paid off. On Vine, she had over 2 million followers, over 1 million followers on Instagram, and over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. While Vine may not be around anymore, twerking gave Vanessa her start in the entertainment industry, and based on the content of her videos, she's likely not planning a return to the classroom anytime soon. Matthew K. In the classroom, he was known as Matthew K, but outside of the classroom, you could find him wrestling under the name of Matt Stryker. In December and February of 2005, K called out sick from Benjamin N. Cardozo High School in Queens, where he was a social studies teacher for the 9th and 10th grades. K wasn't really sick. Instead, he was on a wrestling tour. Whoops. But to be fair, teachers are barely making it on their salary these days, and it isn't uncommon for them to have second jobs. Teachers can also call in sick 10 days a year, and only 3 of those can be used for personal business. He got away with it at first until it was advertised that he would appear on WWE's SmackDown in a match against Kurt Angle. So saying there was a family emergency or that your sister was ill no longer cut it as valid excuses. Needless to say, Kay body slammed his teaching career and ended up resigning. But his students were quite upset and wrote emotional notes saying goodbye to their favorite social studies teacher. Today, you'll find him as a commentator for different international wrestling circuits, and his students are probably still watching. Wendy C. Students today are quite aggressive, and it's not a shock to see a student getting in their teacher's face. But if you were in Wendy Casey's classroom, you might want to reconsider that challenge. Why? Well, the 7th grade math teacher at Westminster Community Charter School in Buffalo, New York, is hoping to head to the Olympics. For what? Boxing. That's right. Even before she had teaching in mind, she was training to become a champion boxer and is working towards the next Olympics. When she was in high school, Casey was on the wrestling team, and once she got to college, she walked into a boxing gym and never looked back. Traditionally, boxing is seen as a man's sport, but she inserted herself and even brought cupcakes to the gym. When in doubt, it seems that baked goods can really get you in good graces with other people. Initially, her coach didn't want to put her in the ring because he was afraid she would get hurt and start crying. Well, Casey is more than tough enough to face challenges both in the ring and in the classroom. So if you're one of her students, you might want to turn in your assignments on time and be nice to her. Aman Rahman. How would you feel if you had a teacher who was younger than you? This can be a hard pill to swallow for some people. We typically see school teachers who are older than us. It makes sense. A teacher is older than us, has gotten an education, and earned their credentials to teach. That all takes a significant amount of time, and usually teachers don't start their training until after high school. Well, after working with a rundown computer, Aman Rahman realized he had a fascination with computers and started creating his own animated shorts by the time he was 3. His father took him to the College of Interactive Designs at Dehradun. Initially, he had to persuade officials to let his son attend the school. After seeing him on the computer, he was a shoo-in. When he got older, one of his professors didn't show up, so Rahman taught the class instead. At just the age of 12, he was teaching animation to adults, and many of his students were twice his age. He submitted himself to the Guinness Book of World Records and was recognized as the youngest lecturer in the world. Sonya Romero. When most teachers punch in for work, they do their job, and then go home to relax or prepare for the next school day. It's only natural that some teachers will try to help their students outside of academia, but their resources and time are often limited. Sonya Romero doesn't see any limitation as a kindergarten teacher at Lew Wallace Elementary in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Because she teaches in an area where there's a lot of poverty, a lot of her students don't get their basic needs met. When they arrive at school, Romero will ask if they've had breakfast, and once they've eaten, she assesses their needs. She'll provide jackets, scarves, scarves, toothbrushes, and snacks. Romero has been doing this since she started teaching, and she has received a lot of support from the community. Romero has taken in 2 of her students as foster kids, and they lived with her for a year. She was even featured on the Ellen DeGeneres Show and has been recognized worldwide as a teacher who goes above and beyond for her students. Romero has said that in order to really teach kids, we need to make sure that they are in a good place where they can focus, therefore succeeding at school. So, what kind of teacher was Nusha Farin Ravji? The 44-year-old teacher taught English as a second language at the Central Men's Jail. One of the escaped inmates was her student, and she gave them vital information on how to escape. Needless to say, she is sitting in her own cell now. What's that? Did you hear that? That was the bell. Class is dismissed. What would you do if you found out your teacher was different from the rest? Tell us in the comments, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Get your homework done, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.